Hello. So now I'm here at Austin. So here is the Austin capital. So I'm going to visit here. Okay, so the environment is so pretty here. See, it's all like very sunny, winter time, not too cold.
The Texas State Capitol is one of the most iconic landmarks in Austin, built in the late 1800s. The historic building is even taller than the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C. With its grand architecture, wide open grounds, and warm Texas sunlight shining across the stone walls, the entire place feels both powerful and peaceful at the same time. Walking through here, you can really feel the history and identity of Texas. And somehow, even if you are just visiting, the city slowly makes you feel welcome. After exploring the Capitol grounds, I stepped into Capitol Visitor Center. Compared to the bright Texas sunlight outside, everything inside felt quieter and slower. The space traced the history of Texas, from politics and culture to the people and stories that shaped the state over time. There were old photographs, historical exhibits, and little details that made the place feel alive. Sometimes when traveling, it's not just about seeing famous landmarks, it's about slowing down enough to understand the stories behind them. As I walked inside the Texas State Capitol, the atmosphere immediately felt different, quiet, grand, and full of history. Completed in 1888, the Capitol was built using sunset red granite, which gives the building its warm pinkish color under the Texas sunlight. Inside, the architecture feels incredibly detailed, from the marble floors to the massive rotunda rising above the center of the building. And right beneath the dome, you can see the word Texas surrounded by a star pattern, symbolizing the pride and identity of the Lone Star State. Inside the building are the chambers for both branches of Texas legislatures, the Texas Senate and the Texas House of Representatives. The Senate is smaller, with 31 senators representing different districts across Texas, while the House of Representatives includes 150 members and handles much of the state's lawmaking process. This is where important decisions about Texas are debated, proposed, and passed, from education and transportation to taxes and public policy. What I found interesting is that the Texas State Capitol is actually one of the largest state capitol buildings in the United States. Walking through these halls, you can really feel how important Texas history and independence are to the people here. And at the same time, there's also something surprisingly calm about it. Maybe it's the sunlight coming through the windows, or the slow pace of the morning. But for a moment, it didn't feel like rushing through a tourist spot. It felt more like quietly stepping into a piece of Texas history. After visiting the Capitol, we slowed things down a little and wandered into a nearby space filled with art and light. The atmosphere here felt completely different from the city outside. Soft sunlight poured through the windows, colors shift across the walls, and every room felt calm, quiet, and almost dreamlike. Some of the exhibits were simple, but somehow still made you stop and look a little bit longer. It wasn't just about the art itself. It was the feeling the space created, a place where time seems to slow down for a moment. And honestly, after weeks of great Seattle weather, Being surrounded by lights like this felt strangely healing.
It is so pretty over here with sunset view. Ah.
As the day slowly came to the end, we made our way to one of the most famous sunset spots in Austin, the Oasis, overlooking Lake Travis. The view opened up into endless water, soft hills, and golden evening light. And little by little, the entire sky began to change colors. Orange, pink, gold, everything felt almost unreal. People around us slowly became quieter, as if everyone was waiting for the same moment together. There was something so peaceful about it. After a long day of exploring the city, sitting here and watching the sunset felt like finally exhaling. No rushing, no pressures, just the warmth of the evening sun and the feeling of being fully present for a moment. And honestly, it was probably the perfect way to end our first day in Austin. That night, as the sun disappeared over the lake, everything felt softer, not because everything in life had changed overnight, but because we gave ourselves a moment to pause, a moment to step outside of the unusual routines. The cloudy days, the constant thinking, Austin wasn't just a trip. It was a small reminder that sometimes recharging doesn't come from doing more, but from simply changing your environment, feeling the warmth, and letting yourself breathe again. And this is just the beginning of the trip. Next episode, we will keep exploring Texas a little deeper, a little slower. See you there.